that didn't work out. But yeah, so I mean, and I'm sorry if I've been saying fat, if I've been offending anybody. It's big boned. Right? That's what it is. And I always love when people say, you're not fat, you're just big boned. And I'm like, really? Bones jiggle? I didn't know that, you know? But I have to blame, I honestly have to blame the whole food industry here. You got McDonald's, KFC, Wendy's, Haagen-Dazs. Between all this stuff, it's really hard to not gain weight. You know, and then the only way you can do it is you have to go to like places like Whole Foods and Wegmans. Because even if you go to Giant and you decide to buy food and buy your own, you have to watch out. You have to really read the labels. Because even sometimes on the label, like you don't realize you're buying stuff and you're like, I'm being healthy. You're not being healthy, you're buying the worst stuff ever. Like I was looking at some of the labels and you know, just buying lemonade. You go to buy lemonade and it goes, now made with real lemons. Like, what was it made with before? Yeah, it's just ridiculous, you know, all these food labels. But anyway, yeah. So, and I'll tell you one thing. I mean, with college, it's really, I don't know about you guys, but it's really hard in college to lose weight because all of it. I did plenty of expanding my horizons, you know. And I hope this is not too much for you guys for going on, but higher learning for me caused me to expand my horizons. And any night where I did higher learning was followed by expanding my horizons. That was my college experience. But yeah, some of you are getting it now. Yeah. But I'll tell you what happened, you know, I'll tell you one thing. I'm actually glad that I was overweight, and I'll tell you why. Because if it weren't for the fact that I was overweight, I wouldn't have been this nice, jolly self. Because you don't see like fat, mean people. You don't. You know, because if you're fat and mean, you're not going to have friends, right? Because at least, and look, if you're good looking and mean, people will be like, well, you know, he's a good looking guy. I mean, he's mean, but it's still good to know him, right? But if you're fat and mean, you're like, well, why do I know that guy? He's mean and he's not even good looking, you know? So you get this thing where you're going to be like, if you're fat, you're going to be jolly. Right? He's going to be jolly. I'm going to have a good time today. Yeah, so yeah, you know, you just keep that jolly. And I'm glad because when I lost the weight, and I'm not saying I'm Mr. Slim now, so don't stop me. Hey, come on. But at least I kept the jolliness. And I'm happy about that because that's been the part I was afraid of losing. It's like Nutty Professor, right? You know, he became this total mean guy once he lost. I engineered it so that I lost the weight but kept the jolliness, and that's really what I wanted to do. But I'll tell you, I'm going to end with this. I'll tell you how and this is a really lame reason, but this is what happened. The reason I decided to actually lose weight in the first place was because it was actually sophomore, or I can't remember, junior year of college. I got this really good-looking girl to be my girlfriend. I don't know how. I don't remember, honestly. But she was this good-looking. She wasn't skinny, and she wasn't fat. She was a good-looking girl. She was, you know, she was just sounding like her. She was good. She was, you know, she had meat on her bones, but she was good-looking. And my whole thing was, I was really huge at the time, and I had this nightmare, this recurring nightmare, where I'd be walking down with her, and we'd be having a good time, and there would be people watching and going, man, that guy lucked out. I don't know how he got that girl, but you know, and I was like, man, that sucks. I don't want to be that guy. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to start losing weight. I want to lose weight so I can look good for this girl. You know, I did it like you've seen As Good as It Gets. You know, you make me want to be a better man. So I was like, I want to be a better man. So I started working out. I started running. I started losing weight, and it was great. And she loved it. She was like, "Oh, you're looking good." And I loved it even more. And I started working out more and losing weight. And then I started looking pretty good. And she started to get a little less like, "Hey, okay, take it easy." and I was like, so I started losing more weight. And then a skinny girl started to talk to me again. And then she got really jealous and she got upset. She's like, "You need to stop working out." And I'm like, "What? Are you telling me to be unhealthy?" And she said, no, you're plenty healthy. You're good. I love you just the way you are. And I'm like, well, good, because I'd like to be half of what I am. Is this okay? And so I kept losing the weight, and she ended, and here's the thing, the funny thing is, she ended up dumping me because she was afraid I was going to dump her. So she kind of did the preemptive dump, which really messed with my head. So, you know, it kind of was counterintuitive, and then I put the weight back on. It was, you know, but it was a whole mess. But I'll tell you how I ended up doing it. For those of you who are wondering, how do you lose weight? No, nobody here looks like they need to lose weight. MashaAllah, you all look great, fantastic. Ramadan has not, or has hit you just right, or has done you good. But I ended up going to the gym. And I remember walking into the gym and looking around, and first things first, right, I hated running. I hated running. So I didn't want to go on the treadmill because I'd be like, you know, my knees would give out and I hated it. So what did I do? I went on the ellipticals. The ellipticals are easy, you know. I was like, I'm getting my workout, and I'd be on that thing for an hour, and I'm like, this is awesome. But and I was doing this for weeks and weeks, and one day I was looking around, and I noticed that everybody on the elliptical was fat. And then I look over, and everybody on the treadmill was skinny. And I started going like, wait a minute, there's a trend here. I'm like, I've been on this elliptical thing and everybody here is as big as I am. I'm like, maybe that's the problem. So it hit me and I'm like, maybe I need to be with those guys. Like, I don't care. So, you know, so I walked over to the treadmill section where all the skinny people were, and I decided to start running with them and you know, doing the best I can, and you know, and that was the best idea to do. If you go to the gym, look where all the skinny, good-looking people are, and do what they're doing, because that's what's going to work for you. You know, but I'll tell you, the one thing that did not work out for me is the first gym I went to was Gold's Gym. And Gold's Gym is a bad place for somebody like me to go, because you go to sit down and you lift it, and I'm like, got my 25 pound, and I'm like, yeah, you know, and there's a dude next to me with like a 75 pound, and I'm kind of like, and I've done like 5, you know, and I'm like, that sucks. I can't do that, guy. And you forget it. You're not. So the trick is this: I got myself signed up at Spring Hill Recreation Center in McLean, and I find the feeblest, oldest guy in the room. And whether it's on the treadmill or and he'd be doing his little 10-pound, right? And I'd go, and I'm Mr. Big 35-pounder, and I'm like, and I stand next to him, I'm like, what's up, Pops? I'm feeling the burn there, and you know, he's looking at me, and that empowered me. It empowered me, and I just kept doing that. With the treadmill, I find the old dude who's, you know, he's doing this, and I'm like, yeah, get this guy. You know, and that for me worked out really well, and alhamdulillah, I've been great ever since. Thanks, you guys have been a great audience. Thank you very much.
Give it up even longer for a moment. For the first time, right? First time? Awesome. Tell you what I learned on my second time. Don't let 95% of my jokes make fun of the host. Dude, I'm standing back there, and it's like, you know what's wrong with fat people? First of all, I'm not into fads like treadmills and ab machines and the shocking things. Like, those ab things don't work for me. Like, I have to put like three you know, microwaves in the tub to shock me enough for the abs to work. But you know, you brought up Ramadan. Just real quick, I'll talk about the Ramadan a little bit. I'm going to vent with you all. Do you all mind if I vent?
No.
Do it. Especially about things a little bit associated with Ramadan. Because I need these things explained to me. Alright? Number one, you go to a mosque. My only question is, at what point in the construction of the mosque did they go, yeah, we need to have masalla for 5,000 people, yeah, okay. We need to have room for at least 3,000 women, okay, yeah. 2,000 children, we need to be 4 stories high, okay. We need to have a cultural center, we need to have a school. How many parking lots do you need? Put about 8 to 9. Between, let's say 10. Let's go with 10. Like, why every time you go to a masjid, it's got room for like 10,000 people, but it's got 15 parking spots. And there's always the guy that comes up, it's like, brother, you didn't park on the grass. I'm like, brother, first of all, I had to park at the Verizon Center and you're in Northern Virginia. All right? There's no grass outside the Verizon Center.